Well, welcome to Facebook Live today. I'm so excited to have Christina join us. She is a COO of Awesome Marriage. She has been the co-host on the podcast. She's done about everything Awesome Marriage. And today we're going to talk about critical impact for couples
Mhm.
in crisis. Welcome.
Yeah, awesome. Glad to be here this morning.
It's good to have you all the way from Raleigh, North Carolina.
Yeah, that's right. I'm excited to talk about, yeah, just this really important topic about how divorce really destroys families.
Yes, it certainly does. Absolutely.
Yeah, so, when families are on the verge of splitting up, we're there for them. That's what Awesome Marriage is literally here for. And one of the critical things that we do for those couples in crisis that many of you who have been following Awesome Marriage for a long time might not be aware of is we help couples who are on the verge of divorce here at Awesome Marriage. One major way we do that is 90 days to save your marriage. So today we just want to talk about that and talk about exactly what we do for couples in crisis. So Dr. Kim, before we get into the nitty gritty details of 90 Days to Save Your Marriage, why is saving marriages even important?
Yeah, I think it goes back just foundationally. The marriage is just kind of, well, it's God's plan for life, for
Mhm.
one thing. And healthy marriages, we see what that does. I love the couples that are intentional about working on their marriages. They try to prevent crisis, but so many people are in crisis right now, through COVID, through all kinds of different things. We live in a really angry society right now, and it seems to bleed over into marriages. And so when we don't save marriages, it affects the couple.
Yeah.
Divorce is a tragedy. It usually affects the income of both of them. It
Yep.
affects the church. How many couples continue to go to the same church once they divorce? And that's hard. Then you've got the effects of children. And even if they're fighting in the home, how does that affect the child? You're modeling marriage for them. So if we have a home that's broken, a home that's in conflict all the time, these kids grow up, that's their normal. That's their
Mhm.
textbook for marriage. So there's so many reasons to save marriage because marriage is the best vehicle for relationships that there is. God created especially for that. And so, yeah, it's my passion has been for saving marriages and helping people, not only just saving them, but we talk about not just surviving, thriving, because we want people to have awesome marriages. We want them to just enjoy every bit of their marriage. So that's to be the refuge in this crazy world we're going into.
Yeah.
Because when your home is not your refuge and you're outside the house is not your refuge, you just don't have any place to go. Your home can and your marriage can be a refuge for you and your spouse and your family, and like nothing else can be.
Yeah, that's good. I think what I think of when I think, why is saving marriages important? I think it's because they can be. Because they can be. They can be saved. I think with God, any marriage can be
Absolutely.
restored. In fact, I was just talking to a woman last week who has been divorced twice. She's in her 50s and she's been divorced twice. Both of her marriages lasted about 10 years. And she said, I wish I would have known X. And if I had, maybe my marriages wouldn't have failed. She was talking about like, different personalities and like several other things that like she just wished she understood about men and women, about relationships, about what a covenant looks like. There were several gaps in her knowledge that she didn't have. And she was like, if I had known, like I might not have gotten divorced. And like this is a woman who like hasn't been to church very often and just didn't have the know-how of God's way of marriage and how to make a marriage work. And because divorce is so destructive,
Hmm.
we need to get the word out there of what it looks like to have a healthy marriage. So many of us grew up in broken homes or in unhappy homes, even if they were
Yeah,
together,
yeah.
where we didn't see marriage modeled well. But that is not God's plan for marriage. God's plan for marriage is that it would be healthy and thriving and a good model of Christ's bride and his church. And we I want to be a generation that shows that to our kids. And so but we have to be able to share these things. Not everybody has hundreds of hours to devote to learning about marriage every
Yep.
day. So we want to be here at Awesome Marriage the experts on biblical marriage and what that looks like to have a thriving marriage. And so many women, older women and older men have poured into me and showed me what a healthy marriage looks like, first and foremost, you and Nancy. And so I want to pass that on because I know what it's like to live in a marriage that's not great and it affects everything.
It
Like
does.
you can't have a good day at work, like you can't have a good weekend if you're fighting with your spouse. It is the worst. And so we want to save marriages because they can be. And so we want to be there to give them that advice, which is a big piece of 90 Days to Save Your Marriage.
Absolutely. And there's so many. I was looking at some stuff last week, doing some research for a thing I was writing, and it talked about the health benefits of healthy marriages. The people live longer, they have less illness, they have less cancer. I mean, and they fight it better. There's so many other reasons there. And I think it just shows that God's plan for this, of a couple doing life together with Him at the center, makes a difference in almost every area of a person's life.
Yeah, that's good. So,
Yeah.
Dr. Kim, for you specifically, what got you into strengthening and saving marriages even in the first place?
I grew up in kind of the perfect home. My parents were great. They were the model for us of marriage, or all those kind of things. And so when I first started in counseling, I did a lot of children and worked with children. I love working with kids, still work with kids some, and teenagers especially. And I realized that some of these kids they were doing really good, but I'm sending them back in these homes that
Mhm.
just aren't very good. And
Mhm.
so I think God kind of led me into say, you got to do some marriage counseling too. And I kind of fought a little bit. And so, but I did, and I began to see God work in that. And I began to see, as these marriages got better, how that affected the kids and how different the kids were. I'd get kids that came in and they looked so sad when they'd come in, and after session with me and we'd talk about things, they'd be happy. Now I saw kids coming in happy and spending time with me and leaving happy. And it was just because their parents were
Mm.
working on their marriages. So that was probably a big motivation. And then I think when I finally realized the home I grew up in was a very unique home, and a
Mm.
lot of people didn't grow up in that, and I took it for granted. And I thought there's really something there. It was a model for Nancy and I,
Mm.
and I think we got to share this, and we got to share the importance of what God can do and how He can do that in marriages, and give people something that they just cherish, and they just think, oh my gosh, this is the next to Jesus. This is the best thing I've ever done.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, for me, I didn't see a lot of marriages modeled well, and so growing up, I had no interest in getting married. It just sounded like a very bad idea from what I saw, what was
Yeah.
before me. It seemed like that was like the last thing you would want to do. So, but I gave my life to Christ when I was 19 years old, and the more I read about the Bible and like biblical marriage, and it was God's design to get married, I was like, well, what does God even want marriage to look like then? Because like it can't be what I saw. And so just in really getting plugged into the local church and meeting couples who like loved being together. Like I remember I met this one woman who like really mentored me, and she was in her 60s, and she and her husband loved being married. And I was
So
like, what would that be like, you know?
yeah.
And so yeah, and just learning more about marriage and trying to start my marriage off right, I've just became really passionate about like this can be done well and your life is better. Not that it's going to be easy all the time, but this can be done well and marriage can be fun.
Absolutely. It can
Yeah.
be fun. It's just, and you want it to be fun. If you're not
Mhm.
having fun, then we need to figure that out, because it
Yeah.
is fun. It should be fun.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, let's talk a little bit about 90 Days to Save Your Marriage. So, 90 Days to Save Your Marriage is free to sign up. So, anyone can sign up. And so, if you know somebody, if you're watching this today and you know somebody with a struggling marriage, we're going to drop the link in just a few moments down below. We encourage you to encourage them to sign up for it. So, with this plan, every day for 90 days, you get one email from Dr. Kim with one practical thing you can do that day to help restore and heal your marriage. Not only that, but there's some bonus other resources within this email series. And then probably the most cool thing that's a part of this kind of package deal is you also get prayer support from our team here at Awesome Marriage. So a lot of you guys might not realize that like we respond to every single email, which I shouldn't be, but I have found in my experience that that is not normal.
Yeah. Right.
For organizations to respond to every email. They ignore a lot of emails or have emails that they don't even check and things like that. But we respond to every email. And so if you email us and ask for prayer, we will absolutely pray for you and reply back. It might take us a couple of days, but we will absolutely reply back. And so when you sign up for 90 days to save your marriage, couples reply to that all the time. And we have a staff member who literally prays for all of those couples specifically and tries to help them. So we can't, replace counseling because we can't be in person counseling for everybody, but we give them bonus free resources. We pray for them specifically. And so that prayer support really is priceless, because who's going to change your marriage? Who's going to transform a heart? God is. And so let's go together and join together in prayer to restore and to heal marriages. And so we love that. Dr. Kim, for you specifically, you wrote 90 Days to Save Your Marriage. What did that process look like? How did you decide what to put in that material?
Yeah, that was a really intense process, because it's a really, I knew it was going to be a really important resource for people to have. My goal always with Awesome Marriage has always been to help people be intentional every day about their marriage. So 90 days, I felt like if people are intentional about doing things to make their marriage better, to save their marriage for 90 days, that can really make an impact and a difference. So we kind of start out with some things that are pretty basic but some people may not be doing, just so you can get in the flow of being intentional, working on your marriage. And then it kind of builds. We try to help people, yes, maybe stretch themselves in the relationship a little bit, but to take that a step at a time. And so by the time you end the 90 days, hopefully you have grown in your relationship with God, in your relationship with your spouse, and you see that your marriage can be saved and you're on a much better path you were in the beginning. And so it's kind of a process, and we've gotten incredible feedback from people. And you never know when you put a resource out there, are people going to want it? One, and they do. We've had given away so many of them. Wow. And then are they going to do it? And so we get this feedback from people of how it really did save their marriage, how it did, being intentional every day made a difference, how it gave them hope when all hope was gone. And that's an important part of it too, because a lot of times marriages are struggling and you think, what do I do? Where do I go to? And this is the way to start and begin. And certainly a lot of the couples decide to go ahead and do counseling in addition to this, which is great. I think you have to decide yourself what you need. But man, this is a jump start. And I think even if by doing this, even if you're doing counseling, it'll probably cut a few sessions out, because you'll be doing things every single day to help your marriage. And from experience, I know people I see in counseling every week or 2 weeks, a lot of them, it takes a while before they get to where they're doing something every day that's good for their marriage. So this gives you a huge jump start on that.
Yeah. And I'll say something that you won't say because you're such a humble guy, but a counselor wrote this. Hello. So a professional counselor with like 40 years of experience, counseling married couples, and who's been married for over 50 years, wrote this material. So yes, absolutely. This will cut down on some of the counseling you need, because it's wisdom from a counselor. And so it's 90 days worth of that. And so, which is just so great. And I love how you said, this really works. One of these days we need to go back and tally up. We have gotten so many emails, countless emails, who have said, we literally filed for divorce. And this was our thing to check off the list before we went through with it. Was they were going to do the 90 days because one of the spouses really wanted to do it. But we're set up for divorce. And then they email us 30 days in, 60 days in, 75 days in. And they say, oh yeah, we're not doing that anymore. We're not getting divorced. So cool. We're going to stay and make it work. We're going to do this follow-up thing. We're going to make it work for our family and for our kids. And so, man, that just brings me to tears on a regular basis when we get those emails, because it's just so beautiful. And I will say a lot of times when a couple is on the brink of divorce, there's kind of one spouse who wants to still make it work, or at least try, and one that maybe isn't. And I have seen this particular program, if they would just both agree to do it, and even if one's really wary of it and not really into it, I have seen, because the power of God is behind this too, because our whole team is praying for this every day. We're praying for this 90 days curriculum. We're praying for the couples who are walking through it. And so the power of God is going before them. And we have seen countless times that other spouse come around and say, oh, I am actually going to try this. And it works. Yeah. And so it really is amazing. We have had over 8,200 couples go through 90 Days to Save Your Marriage.
That's amazing. It is so amazing to me that many people have already gone through it.
Yeah. And we just produced it 1 year ago. So
yeah, it's in a year. And, I'm not bold enough probably to say that every marriage was saved, but we know that a lot of those were saved, and a lot of those were turned around, and a lot of those were given hope, and a lot of them were able to see what God really can do in the middle of a marriage. And so, I hope all of them were saved.
Yeah, me too. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, right now it's really like upticked, which has been amazing. We're now getting 400 new couples every month, at
Wow.
least 400, a minimum of 400 new couples every month, which is amazing. However, even though 90 Days to Save Your Marriage is free for couples to sign up, it's not free for Awesome Marriage. The platform that we send emails on, the more subscribers we get, the more money it costs. And so that costs time, energy, and money. And then more importantly, the prayer support. The more
Mm.
people who are subscribed to it, the more times we get emailed, and we do want to continue to respond to every email and pray for everybody. And so that just takes time and resources. And so my encouragement to you is, if you are watching this today and you believe in saving marriages and you want to see marriage modeled well for the children who are coming after us, and you want them to have awesome marriages, and you want to save families, strengthen marriages, and save families, today is a great day to do it. Today is a great day to give one donation, because we have our 7 most popular resource bundle right now, but it ends today. So at the end of today, it'll dissolve. And so, but if you want to give to the mission of Awesome Marriage, we're going to drop a link down below, and you can give to this fundraiser to help us in this mission, to help partner with us to save more marriages.
And you'll be a part of walking with us and supporting us, and you'll be a part of helping save these marriages. And, we have an incredible team, and they do an incredible lot of work, but it takes money to do that.
Mhm.
And so this is our way of helping raise some money for Awesome Marriage, and also give you something that's going to make your marriage better. You
Yeah.
have 7 resources that you can have fun with and grow your marriage in, and just feel like, wow, I'm so glad I gave that, because now we've done these resources. Now we're on a much better track than we were.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have big dreams here at Awesome Marriage. We would love to create more email series like this that are niche to specific things. Couples who are struggling with sexual issues, couples who are struggling with boundary issues, who are struggling with balancing, the kids and everything like that in busy seasons. And so we'd love to create curriculum written by a marriage counselor and the Awesome Marriage team here to help couples with that. But new projects cost money. And
Yep,
so your donation will help things like that come into fruition. And we're excited to partner with you guys.
absolutely. Like the 90 Days to Save Your Marriage course. I mean, what's the name of our course?
911, marriage
911.
911.
I
Yeah.
always think in my head.
Yeah.
Yes, and that's available now for
Mhm.
couples, a
Yeah.
multi-video course with,
Yep.
workbook, things that you can do
Mhm.
to make your marriage better. So, we'd love for you guys to join us in this mission and
Yeah.
help us. We thank you for those who are, and we thank you for spending time with Christine and I today.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great rest of your day.